So, hallo, willkommen in England. Ich bin gerade am Hotel angekommen, zusammen mit Mu, der neben mir läuft, den ich euch nicht zeigen werde. Hinter uns ist das Hotel, das zeige ich mal da eben. Da werden wir nächtigen. Ansonsten sind wir jetzt gerade auf dem Weg ja, zum Treffpunkt. Die anderen sind schon vorgelaufen, wir kommen quasi ein bisschen später. Und ja, ich werde euch einfach mal kurz zeigen. Wir laufen quasi dort entlang. Da sind die Docks und der alte Hafen, so gesehen. Und naja, da ist übrigens Mu sein Kaninchen. Und ja, ich zeige euch dann mal, nehme euch mal ein bisschen mit, was es hier so zu sehen gibt. Vielleicht gibt es auch Free Stuff. Aha, naja, mal schauen. Irgendwie ist Wargaming da ja immer ein bisschen geiziger. Gut, dann bis gleich.
A highly effective class of submarine. Some foreign navies used them right through until 2005. I will quickly run through some of the features that we can see on the outside. If we start at the very front of the submarine, the big dome on the nose of the submarine is the sonar dome. This is the submarine's eyes and ears when it's in the water. It's an active sonar system, which means it gives off a burst of sound and then reads the echo that comes back. Gives a very good picture of what's in front of you. Unfortunately, that burst of sound can give your position away. To try and combat this, the submarine also carried a passive system. It was dragged on a long wire behind the aft end of the submarine, and that just sat in the water like a pair of ears listening for movement.
I'd rather wake up next to a stranger than wake up next to you. 'Cause you're covered in six. Do you know who you are? I'm so glad I'm not you.
1926, and they were used all the way through to the mid-1980s. There was actually two of these Mark 8 torpedoes that hit and sank the General Belgrano in the Falklands crisis.
Okay.
Now this compartment can actually hold 24 of these Mark 8 torpedoes. You would have 6 preloaded into the tubes, and the other 18 would sit on the racks that take up pretty much the rest of the compartment. When she went to sea, ordinarily they would only carry 16 on board, so you'd have the 6 in the tubes and then just 10 in the racks down the sides and underneath the floor that we stood on to give you a bit of room to work in. Now this compartment also has a second use. This is the forward escape compartment. We've got the forward escape tower at the front here. Running around the edge of the compartment, we've got a white pipe with brass nozzles on. And that's the built-in breathing system you would use in emergency escape. Quickest and easiest way to do an emergency escape is what they call a rush escape. With that, you would make your way to the escape compartment, close and lock the hatch behind you, and then you start to fill the compartment with water. When the water gets to roughly chest high, the pressure in here allows you to open the hatches on the escape tower. By this time, you can no longer breathe the air in here because it's been compressed by the water. So you have to rely on the built-in breathing system and the breathing units that the men would have been issued with. And the men would line up around the edge of the compartment, leaving one by one. And it's when you get to this position here that it would be your turn to leave. When it's your turn to go, you take one last big breath with the breathing unit, go up through the escape tower, and then hopefully you make it safely to the surface. You do have to remember to breathe out all the way up to the surface, otherwise you could end up damaging your lungs. Now they practice this on a regular basis, and it's also a test that they had to pass before they were allowed to go onto submarines. Now we're going to move through into the next compartment, which is the first accommodation space on board. If I can just make my way through to the hatchway, I'll demonstrate the easiest way to get through for you. Underneath the sonar dome at the front, you've got 3 oblong doorways there. And they're the doors for the forward torpedo tubes. There are another 3 on the other side. Originally, there would have been 1 either side of the aft end as well. Next, we've got the forward hydroplanes. They're the big black squares that you can see sticking up there. They wouldn't normally be in the upright position like that. They would be flipped down to the side. They work together with the ones at the aft end behind the propeller shafts, and they would have controlled the angle with which the submarine dives and resurfaces. Now, a lot of the work for the diving and resurfacing is really done by the ballast tanks. And the ballast tanks are housed in the big bulges that run down both sides of the submarine. Now, the final thing of note on the outside, up on the top here we've got the fin. This primarily houses 6 different masts, and we have 4 of them on view. Starting at the front, we've got the small attack periscope. Next is the larger search periscope. The curved one's the radar mast, and the tall one at the back is the telecommunications mast. The 2 that you can't see are called the snort masts. Now, they allow the 2 diesel engines on board to be run at periscope depth. One vents the exhaust gases off, the other one draws fresh air on board. Now, before I take you on board, got to run through health and safety. She is very cramped on board. Just to let you all know, the first compartment we're going to go into is actually the biggest compartment we go into. They get slightly smaller as we work our way through. You will need to mind your heads. You also need to watch where you're walking because there is uneven flooring on board. One final piece of advice, the long staircase we use to go inside the submarine is quite steep. We always recommend treating it like a ladder. If you turn and face it, go down backwards. As you're going down, you'll feel the hatchway closing around you. At that point, please lean forward so you don't catch the back of your head on the way in. With that, let's go on board.
'Cause you're covered in sand. Do you know who you are? I'm so glad I'm not you. This ain't the end of me. All the things that I could be. This is the end of you. After all that we've been through. This ain't the end of me. All the things that I could be. This is the end of you. After all that we've been through.
So, jetzt habt ihr gerade ein paar Eindrücke von einem U-Boot gesehen. Da sind wir gerade durchgegangen. Man muss sich mal vorstellen, auf dem U-Boot haben ungefähr 69 Mann gedient, die in mehreren Schichten geschlafen haben. Wir haben 21 Betten da auf dem Boot, eine Kabine für den Kapitän. Der Führer hat uns noch erklärt, dass der letzte Kapitän, der auf diesem Schiff gedient hat, knapp unter 2 Meter groß war.
Das ist so eng da drin, dass ich mich auf die Schnauze gelegt habe.
Das war Mu. Mu ist hingefallen. Ich habe es leider nicht gesehen, sonst hätte ich gelacht. Aber naja, gut. Ist halt so.
Hast du schon den Gag gebracht? Hast du schon den Gag gebracht?
Das ist ein Mu-Boot. Ja, das ist der Mörder-Gag. Und die 69 Mann, die auf dem Schiff gedient haben, die haben in verschiedenen Etappen, in verschiedenen Schichten geschlafen. Das heißt, Er hat auch erklärt, dass man sich auf dem Schiff eigentlich nicht so richtig waschen konnte. Man hat ein bisschen Handwäsche machen können, das war aber eiskaltes Wasser, also es war nicht wirklich warm und es war ein bisschen ohne Seife, glaube ich auch, oder? Er hat gesagt, ohne Seife, meine ich.
Ja.
Und das führte dazu, dass sich manche Personen einfach gar nicht gewaschen haben auf dem Schiff. Und ja, die Leute sind dann immer in verschiedenen Etappen in ihre eigene, also sie haben nackt in dem Bett geschlafen, hat er erzählt. Und da sie sich nicht gewaschen haben, wurden die natürlich ein bisschen muftig. Und das führte dazu, dass nach einem Schichtwechsel sich die neue Besatzung bzw. die Personen, die jetzt gerade quasi schlafen durften, sich in den Mief von den Vorgängern gelegt haben. Ganz interessant, kam glaube ich sogar mal in dem Film Das Boot vor, da wurde das mal so in etwa auch erzählt und da ist auch was Wahres dran. Gut, wir gehen mal weiter, bis gleich.